Welcome to the podcast. My name is Jamie Knight, and I'm a realtor with Real Broker here in Cajun Country, Lafayette, Louisiana. The goal of this podcast is to provide massive value by bringing insider access to our area's top agents and find out how they've been able to achieve massive success in their business. My hope is that you take a few things away from their experiences to grow your own business. My guest today is a good friend and fellow real agent, Yvette Guidry. Yvette is a top producer who is a lone wolf, but also a team player. She is a little untraditional in how she runs her business. Welcome to the podcast, Yvette.
Well, thank you, Jamie. I appreciate you having me on the podcast today.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, so tell us how you got into the real estate business and give us a little backstory on you.
Sure. So I was in oilfield sales. I was a safety specialist and doing very well. Thought I was going to be there forever. But as things happen, tell your plans and everything's going to change.
Right.
So I was laid off from the oil field in 2015, and it was the oil field crash once again. And I decided that I needed a change. So, this was something I wasn't going to go into lightly.
Gotcha.
With a lot of thought. Took me a little while. So I posted on Facebook one day, if anyone knows anyone hiring outside sales, please let me know.
Right.
So I received a private message from a guy who I had been friends with on Facebook for a while. He was a realtor with Keller Williams. And he messaged me and said, "Have you ever considered real estate?" And I said, I have, but, nothing too serious. He said, "Well, if you decide, you would like to learn more about it, let me know and you can attend a meeting." So I said, okay. And again, I didn't jump on it. I really wanted to think about this because this is a big decision.
Right.
So one day I was driving. It was a beautiful day. I had a convertible, just enjoying the sun. And I was passed by the Carmelites on Carmel Avenue in Pinhook. And I'm Catholic, so every time I pass by a church, I say my little prayers, And I looked up at the sky, and I basically was talking to God like I'm talking to you.
Right.
And I said, "You know what, God? I need a sign. I need a sign. What am I going to do with the rest of my life?" And so the traffic, started moving, and I get to the light at Pinhook, and I glanced over to the right, and I see this big 6-foot by 4-foot sign going up. It was some land that was about to be listed for sale. And it just so happened to be the guy who messaged me about becoming a realtor.
Right.
And I just looked up and I went, okay, that's a sign. That's a literal sign.
Literal sign.
So what am I going to do? Am I going to brush it off? Or, I asked him to show me a sign, so I'm going to call the guy. I called him. We set up a time. I went to the meeting, and I decided I was going to be a realtor.
Nice.
And so I studied for the test at home during the August flood of 16. We were stranded. And so I got it done pretty quickly because I had nothing else to do. And the minute I was able to get out of my driveway, I went and took my test and I passed it. Went to Baton Rouge and, did all my good paperwork. And so fast forward, I'm at a party about 3 days later. I meet a couple, start telling them that I'm in real estate. I wasn't even in our MLS yet. I couldn't even open a door. But they asked me, we started talking about the fact that they had a piece of property that they were going to build on. They already had the plans, the builder chosen. And the way they were describing the house, I thought, well, I saw one on Realtor.com because that's the only access I had to listings in town. And I showed it to them on my phone. They said, well, we want to go see it. Can you schedule a showing? I said, sure. I was so excited. So I had to call another realtor that I knew to come open the door because I couldn't even get access. But once we walked in, they decided they wanted it. And the deal goes through. And then they wanted me to list their property that they were going to build on. And I was dual agent on that. And I haven't stopped since.
Nice. Yeah, nice. And that first deal also was with Sean Heddich, who was
correct.
Kind of the starter of District South, which is kind of the company that we both came from as well.
Yes.
So, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about how you run your business. We talked about a little bit untraditional, but how do you start your day? Let's start there.
Well, every day I wake up, I basically have a plan. I write down everything that I want to accomplish that day. Whether it's, following up with clients that I have deals working on, or listings that I have that I need to market, or potential buyers that I've spoken with, just give them a call and say, hey, have you thought about this? Or I'll send them listings. I'll look in the MLS, but I always have a plan.
Right.
And then, of course, as I go through the day, things do happen where I have to kind of put things off that I had planned. But what I like to do is have the most important things that I know I have to take care of first.
Gotcha.
And then as the list goes, down, it's a little less important, but it's something that needs to be taken care of. But if someone calls me and they want to go see a property or whatever, I can push that off, and then, it just kind of works itself in. And it's worked very well for me. And of course, the next day when I wake up, if I wasn't able to accomplish everything on the list, I'll just roll it over.
Right.
But it does help me keep everything organized.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and a lot of you hear that a lot too with people that are on the podcast, is they have some different ways that they do their list. Some of them are online, but yours is you have a big board at your office.
I do.
Right?
I have a designated office. I have everything in there. I have my 27-inch screen Mac, and I have my printer. It's an office. It's
Right.
And I have a big dry erase board where when I'm sitting at my desk, it's right to the right, and I do it in 2-month increments, and I basically just outline everything. Closings, active listings, potential listings, clients I need to follow up with, buyers, and then I also have a little section for personal, because you have to work that in as well.
Right.
Which is kind of tough when you're super busy, but you still have to take time out for yourself and your well-being, because you can't be a good agent unless you're okay. Yeah, unless you're doing well.
Yeah, for sure. You'll have to text a picture of that board to me so we can share it on the podcast.
Sure.
So
it's a little messy right now. Maybe when I update it.
We'll judge you on your handwriting, but just so realtors can get an idea of what you're doing. Because whereas this is a podcast and it's a listening thing, but sometimes we do like to share visual things that realtors are doing. So even if you wouldn't mind, I'll post that and on some of our social media.
I would love to.
But if you don't mind sharing that would be great. But so we talk a lot about new agents or agents who feel like they're struggling on the podcast, and we talk about ways that they can grow their business. And you are doing some mentoring right now. Talk about some ways that if an agent is struggling right now, what would you recommend them do, or a brand new agent? What are you recommending to them?
Sure. So I'm mentoring a girl right now. She is a real agent as well. And, one thing I have to say, you're only as good as the agent you're mentoring, because when I mentor, I want them with me. I want them shadowing me, because I feel like that's the only way they can really learn in certain real life situations.
Right.
And the girl I'm mentoring right now, her name's Jessie Boudreaux. She's a real agent, and she's done so well. I'm so proud of her. But from the get-go, I basically, and I'm a stickler about this. I have clients, a lot of clients that have moved from out of state. In this particular situation, it was two clients from Chicago. They had never been to Louisiana in their life.
Right.
And they saw one of my listings on Realtor.com. They loved it. So they called me and scheduled the flight and everything. So, I said, this is going to be a great opportunity for Jessie. And so I called her and I said, okay, you want to shadow me? Oh, yeah, sure. I'm so excited. First thing I said was, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Professional, because that's how I run my business.
Nice.
And when she showed up, she brought it. She looked great.
I love it.
And so she's riding in the passenger seat, in the front seat, and they're in the back. And we had a lot of houses we toured that day. But while we were driving around, I'm kind of, explaining our culture here. And it was during Mardi Gras. And I kind of gave them the little backstory on Mardi Gras. And then I found out it was her fiance. It was his birthday. So we stopped when we had a few minutes between showings, and I bought him a king cake for his birthday. He thought that was the greatest thing in the world.
Right.
He loved it. Because I feel like it's not just about selling a house. It's about, selling the whole area that we live in, which is a very special area. And the people, everyone was so friendly to them, and they loved it.
Right.
They couldn't wait to move here, And so they did end up buying the house that I had listed, which was really good because I was able to represent the seller and the buyer, and it really went smooth because they were selling their house in Chicago. There was a lot of moving parts, and the fact that I was able to handle both sides, it really, really worked out, I think, great in that situation.
Right.
But Jessie learned so much just from those 2 days that we rode together. And then her cousin decided to use her to buy a house, which was a very high-end, nice house. And he said, because you're working, because he knew me, they were a little worried because she was so new.
Right.
That they were glad that I was mentoring her. But during that process, she was at my house every night. She showed up. Like I told her, I said, I'm going to ask you, and I understand if you can't do certain days, but this is your success as well. You've got to want it,
Right.
And she did. And she came to my house. And I'm talking, stayed there till 11, 12 o'clock at night, going over the contracts, learning the things that you need to know to become a successful agent. And at first she was very, like a little bit like the deer in a headlight. But as she's progressing, I see a confident agent that she still has a lot to learn, but she's eager. And she's now sold over $1 million.
Nice.
And, with that guide, it's not just the guidance that I gave her. She had to do it herself.
Right.
But I think as a new agent to become successful, you really do need a good mentor. Call and ask questions. Don't just assume. If you don't know, call. Sit down with them. Tell your mentor, I need you to sit down and show me this, because that's the only way you're going to learn and do things right. And these documents have to be right. And so don't ever be shy. Don't be scared to ask questions.
Right.
And shadow your agents that are mentoring you. You can learn a lot. And now she doesn't have to come to my house every night. She's got it. And so that's the only thing I can basically say is you've got to want it.
Yeah.
And follow through and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you hear a lot of these agents that just kind of join a team or they join a situation because they're getting fed these leads or whatnot. And what we're doing, at least with some of the people who we're mentoring them, is we're not only saying, hey, here's some opportunities with leads, and we do that as
Correct.
well, but it's a whole life thing. It's like showing them everything we've known in the experience that we've had in the business and how they can, replicate that same thing, because it's not like it can't be replicated. It definitely
That's
can.
right.
But I love how you brought in the culture to it too, and really showed her how to incorporate the best of what we have here in Acadiana into the whole sales process.
Yes,
so that's
it's not just about a house. It's about they're literally changing a complete culture.
Right.
And she did make a comment about that. She said, "Wow, that was so impressive." And basically, I told her, I said, "This is your job. You're not just selling them a roof and some walls."
Right.
And you want to keep these clients every one I've sold a house for or two in 8 years of real estate, we're still very good friends.
Yeah.
And it's relationships, and I also tell a lot of new agents that I mentor, if you're in this for the paycheck, get out.
Yeah.
If you do your job and you take care of your clients, it comes.
Yeah.
Don't focus on that. Focus on the task at hand.
Yeah.
And she's done very well with that.
Yeah, and she's got a very sweet heart, and she's very, gonna be potentially a great agent too, especially with your mentoring. But yeah, a lot of agents, I think, take that same mindset, or they come into real estate for the wrong reason, and they say, "Hey, I'm in it to make $100,000 or make whatever they're thinking they're going to make because they saw, or they think they know what the real estate's all about." And the problem with that thinking is the clients can feel that you're only in it for the money, and that's the problem. Like they can feel that.
Absolutely.
Or like, I always describe it like you have a sale and your mortgage is due. You have a pending under contract and that mortgage is due. And what's likely to happen? That sale falls apart, and then you're sitting there with a mortgage to pay. So it's like that. But I always say it's just like, try to operate in the real estate business in a sense of abundance. Like, I'm going to be fine. This is all about you. What's best for you.
That's right.
And whether or not you make a sale or whatever is fine.
That's right.
I was meeting with some clients the other day and we're looking at new construction and all these houses like that. And I literally told them like, hey, let's look at all the floor plans. And if it's not on the right lot or it's not backing up to where you want and there's a floor plan you want, let's build that house.
Exactly.
And people are like, he kind of looked at me and were like, you would kind of like, almost like you would hang around with us that long to build the house. I'm like, dude, I don't, like, if it takes 2 years, 5 years, whatever, I'm into it. I have a listing I just listed this week. Guy's been in touch with me since 2016.
Yep.
I was looking back at our email chain. He just listed his house this week. I mean, it's a long-term play. It's never about the hurry up and get under contract on that new construction that may not be on the right lot that you want it on. Like, it's a long-term play. So I love that you do that. And that's probably why we're good friends, is because we think very similarly about our clients and stuff like that. So,
and I take my time with my listings as well, and I let, one thing I try to do is I communicate everything with my clients, and one thing that I am meticulous about is my listings. And I go out of my way to, I research everything. I make sure, even if it's been listed before, I'll look at the info, but I will research it and make sure that this is correct. And recently I did have one where, I don't know how this happened, but it's the house has been around for a while and it's a pretty high-end house. The square footage was different on every listing. The acreage was different on every listing.
Wow.
And I'm going, okay, I'm so confused.
This is a standard thing that we can figure exactly what this is.
Exactly.
Just takes a little effort.
So I really had to make an effort. But I wasn't going to put this house on the market. It's $995,000 without having the right information. That was something I had to do. It took some work, but I got it.
Yeah.
And then the photos, I can't stress that enough. And I do have a photography background, so I do take my own photos, and I shoot very editorially angles to try to get the best shots I can. I want it to look like a magazine. I want to attract buyers, and in this day and age, everyone uses the internet. They're not driving, they may see your sign and call, but they're not going out driving, looking at signs to call an agent. So you've got to put your best foot forward. It's a product and you're selling it, and you want it to be the best possible, impression on people, so they want to come see the house. And so I'll let my clients know from the get-go, I'm not just going to go in your house and take some pictures with my phone and put a sign in the yard. I'm going to do these things for you. And I promise you, we'll get showings. And honestly, lately, it's crazy. I've had houses go under contract in 12 minutes. Immediately we get showings and they go under contract. So I let my clients know, please don't get discouraged. It's going to take me a little longer, but I promise you, we're going to have results. And luckily that, we get results that way. So, that's one of the things that I do that's probably a little different than a lot of other agents, but it works.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about that too, because you're big on your branding and your perception on social media. So talk to us a little bit about branding and how that looks for you.
Sure. So my branding, I really had to sit down and think about this. I do have a marketing background, so, I took kind of what I've learned throughout the years. And one thing I can't stress enough is that my branding has got to present me of who I am and what kind of agent I am. Because when people meet me for the first time and they've seen my branding, they know I'm true to my branding, that this is the agent that I am. This is how I handle myself and work my business. And I think you just have to be authentic to who you are. And what kind of agent do you want to be? How do you want to be presented to the public? And your branding has got to reflect that.
Right. Right. Yeah. And you do some different types of things. So you do everything from multi-million-dollar houses down to a $5,000 lot.
That's right. And so I do have like friends of mine that call me, oh, I wanted to call you to see if you could list my house. Now, it's not big. I know you do the big ones. I tell them, you know what? I treat every client and every house, where there's property, it's the same. It's the same. I'm going to give you my attention and my expertise, and I'm going to work so hard to get it sold for you, just like I would if it was a $2 million house.
Right.
They're just as important. All my clients are important to me. And my branding, like I say, I do have some luxury branding. I have other branding because I want everyone to know I'm not just in this to go sell $2 million, $3 million houses. I'm here to help you sell your property or your home, no matter what, no matter how much it is,
Right. Yeah, I like that too. And that's a challenge because too, it's like, you're trying to be everything to everybody, but just I think that the way you are and being authentic it comes through too in everything that you do. It's not
I work
just
hard for that.
Yeah, and it's not just like you're some luxury agent that's untouchable or unattainable or unapproachable. You are down to earth, and you're I've even seen things, and you got a baseball cap on and you're running around
Yes.
Gerard Park or whatever. You're not unattainable. So I love that. So tell us maybe a little crazy story. You were kind of telling me about some different stuff that you do. Even so, we talk about the lower end stuff.
Yes.
Tell us a little crazy stories. What you got for us?
So I'm working with a client that she was paying cash for a nice double wide trailer in a beautiful area. The property is just beautiful. And so we were a few days before we were supposed to close, and she called me. She was so upset. And so she basically was telling me that she doesn't think she's going to be able to buy the house, which we were already scheduled to close. And I asked her why. And unfortunately, she had been diagnosed with leukemia and decided to stay in Texas. And of course, my heart just went out to her. But the problem was, she still had to close on the house. So what I did was I went, immediately into, we got to figure this out. So I explained some things to her and let her know that, there's ways that we can do this. Basically you do have to buy the house, because there's no clause on the contract due to illness. And we were right before closing. And so once I explained that to her, she was okay. And basically what I proposed was, let's close, and then I'll turn around and list it. And so she was okay with that, so we closed. So I basically handled everything on this end. She hasn't been here, she's still in Texas. So I go to the house, and I bring my camera and everything to take the pictures. And it was in pretty bad shape, once they moved out. So they had a beautiful blue door, and it had white streaks of paint splatter on it that had dried. I'm going, oh no, this is not good. And then their countertops were messed up really bad from, I guess they had left a pot and it rusted or something. So I'm thinking in my head, okay, I want to sell this house.
Right.
And I want to get my client as much money as I can, especially with her situation. So I brought all my stuff and I painted the door, which turned out really pretty. And now I'm working on the countertops, which has been a little bit of a challenge. I'm primed, I'm excited, and of course I didn't have the lid on the primer, and it spilled, and I had to hurry up and clean it up, and I'm in, all of a sudden I'm in, oh my God, I've got to clean this up because I can't ruin these floors. I'm just, it's crazy, but this is the life of a realtor sometimes, you know.
And then doing whatever we have to do to make sure
that's it.
We get, we do right by people, which is
that's
awesome.
It. And that, she honestly, when I told her, because I've been in touch with her every day, kind of letting her know what's going on. And she said, I can't believe you're doing this. I said, well, that's what I do. I'm not just here to go put a sign in the yard and hope it sells and then go down on the price because the countertops are messed up or the door, I want to put forth the best way I can market this house to get you top dollar for it because I want to help you.
Right.
And she really, touched my heart because she said, "You're my angel," and I don't really feel like I'm an angel. I just feel like this is my job.
Right.
This is what you're supposed to do, So I will be going over tomorrow to finish the countertops, hopefully, and put the lid on the primer and the paint. And I'm excited actually about getting it on the market once once I get all this stuff done. And, I've been over there so much, I also was cleaning. There was some caulk in the tub, and that was a nightmare. So there's been a few challenges with this one. But at the end of the day, I really want to help my client. And like I said, sell it for, the best price I can get for her. And that's my focus. And, it's looking good. I send her progress as I go. She's been very happy. And, I'm talking late nights. Like I got home at 10 o'clock the other night, and my husband's calling and checking on me. But he knows, it's not the first time that this has happened, and I'm sure it won't be the last.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I do the same thing. I try not to as much anymore.
Right.
But it's still, sometimes you got to roll your sleeves up and just go get it done.
That's right.
And
I always say this. This is my famous saying. They don't show this on HGTV.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's rough, but if you're in it for the right reasons, you do those things and your clients appreciate it, and that's what it's about.
Yeah. And I'm the same way too. It's like, even if this lady never moves to Louisiana or nobody even finds out about this, it's the right thing to do.
That's right.
You're just making it. So it's like some people do things with the intention of doing something for this builder or doing something that they think is going to benefit them in the long run. But I just love that you're just doing this in the sense of, this is a lady that I don't even know if you've even met her.
I did meet her. Yes.
So it's like, it's almost, and I've done the same thing for people I've never even met.
Yes.
Too, and you just do it, not with the hopes of getting a referral or getting some opportunity down the road. It's just to genuinely help people out.
That's right.
And that's what a lot of these new realtors don't get.
They don't get it.
They just.
And I think it's because they have an idea of what it's going to be like, and it's not at all what they think it's going to be like, and then they become disheartened because they went into it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And you have to go into it with the right attitude and know that this is work.
Yeah.
It's work. And we do get some deals that are pretty easy and smooth, and you wish they all were, but they're not, And you have to be prepared for the ones that aren't. You have to, a lot of it is working with other agents from other brokerages to get deals done. At the end of the day, it's not about that you work for this brokerage and I work for this brokerage and it's a competition. No, we have to be a team and respect each other and work the best we can for our clients and come to a happy medium to get the deal done.
Yeah, 100% agree.
I work hard for that, and I have good relationships with other agents from other brokerages, and we always end up becoming friends, actually. We feel like we're in the trenches together,
Yeah.
And we all come out ahead when we can get the deal done and closed and everybody's happy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because there's a lot of pride in your own company and whatnot.
Of course.
But then there's
absolutely.
But yeah, I feel like some agents come at you with this immediate, like, I'm trying to win
Yes.
the transaction, or I'm trying to beat you in a negotiation or whatever. I'm like, great. That's okay. You can have that mindset, but like, I'm here to help everybody. I'm here to help you get the property under my listing under contract, and I'm here to help you, get a reasonable inspection response.
Correct.
For your clients, and I'm here to make sure the appraisal goes okay and everything, even as a listing agent. So it's like some people, they just come at it from the wrong angle,
They do.
and then you're just fighting with them the whole time. And I'm like, look, I'm always the type where it's like, hey, I'm willing to fall on the sword to make sure that the buyer or the seller that I'm representing is not impacted by this whole thing. We'll do some closing. Sometimes I'll be like, It was an absolute train wreck behind the scenes.
Right.
But that client did not even know. They're just sitting there across from the closing table like, thank you for buying the house. It's like, it's
That's
amazing
right.
some of the things that we do behind the scenes and take a lot of that pressure off of the buyer or the seller.
Absolutely. And I find, you'll have 5 of deals that might do that, and then you'll have 3 more that's smooth, and you're just like, okay, good, this is good.
Yeah.
I joke around. I say, yeah, I quit real estate 3 times a week, and then I get a call and go, okay, I'll stick around for a little while longer.
Yeah.
It is a roller coaster. It is.
And maybe that's why. Maybe those difficult ones, like you spilling the primer and painting the countertops and doing all the crazy stuff with that deal. Maybe those easy ones are just to kind of say like, hey, the average is fine. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, the average.
And
is
this is $180,000, trailer, but it doesn't matter, because the thing is my job is to make sure that this is presented in the best way possible, and to take care of my poor client who has other things she has to deal with.
She's got a lot.
She's got a lot
going
on her.
She doesn't even need to.
And I don't want her worrying about that. And she even offered to come down and, help me. I said, no, you worry about you. I got this.
Nice.
And that's my attitude. And it's true. And, I'm trying really hard, because I really hope that when I do put it on the market, I can call her and say, hey, guess what?
It's under contract.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. I really appreciate your story and your friendship and everything. And I'm so glad that we were able to kind of get some stories and some backstories and some great.
Yeah,
some
I think we
definite
could go
nuggets.
on all day, but
We could.
yeah.
But, definitely some good nuggets and some good things about how you run your business, and some things that agents can take away, I think, from what you talked about today. So I'm so excited that agents got to hear your story. And I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Jamie. I appreciate you having me on. It was nice. It was fun.
Good. So if you guys want to reach out to Yvette, I'm sure she'd love to give you a little encouragement. So we'll put some of her social media handles and stuff in the details of this podcast. So if she can give you any encouragement, I'm sure she would love to.
I would love to. Absolutely.
So, and I'm the same. If I can ever give you a little bit of encouragement, especially 2024, we're up against some crazy times and a crazy world. But the moral of the story is that we're all going to come together and make deals happen.
Yes.
And do what we can to keep our clients happy and be friendly to other agents.
Absolutely.
So anyway, we really, really appreciate you guys tuning in to every podcast. And I just really thank you guys for listening, and follow me, subscribe on any platform. So thanks again, Yvette.
Thank you, Jamie.
And we will talk to you guys very soon.